Today we are going to learn about heat or the transfer of heat. So we have all heard about the term heat. When it is a hot summer, we say it is too much heat around here, right? But have you ever seen heat? You can only feel it, right? So heat is actually a form of energy. And do you know how this form of energy occurs? It is mostly produced due to the vibrations of atoms and molecules. We know that every matter consists of atoms and molecules. So these atoms and molecules, when they vibrate very much faster, they produce a form of energy which is known as heat. We know that heat flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. As you can see here, there are two bodies. So this is the first one, which is a hotter body shown with a red color, and this is a colder body shown with a blue color. If I'm keeping these two bodies together, that is, I'm keeping the hot body in contact with the cold body. After a few hours or after the passage of time, I will see that these two bodies have come to an equilibrium, or they both have the same temperature. So why does this occur? Because there is a flow of heat or flow of energy between these two objects. So it always happens between a body of higher temperature and a body of lower temperature. And we know that heat always flows from the body of higher temperature to the body of lower temperature. So now let us see what are the different ways in which heat transfer takes place. Transfer of heat. Transfer of heat takes place in three different ways. They are conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction usually occurs in solids. Convection usually occurs in fluids like liquids or gases. And radiation occurs usually in vacuum spaces. First, let us see what is conduction. Here you can see I am bringing this rod, which is a metallic rod, towards this fire. So let us see what happens. As I bring this rod closer to the fire, the end near the fire starts to get heated up. This end gets heated up slowly. Now, after a little more time, we can see that we will be feeling a little bit warmth in our hands because, as you can see here, the heat is flowing towards us. If we are holding here, our hand will feel a small warmth because the heat from this end travels to this end. Because of the vibration of the molecules present here, these molecules will be making the other molecules vibrate. And due to the vibration of atoms and molecules, we know there will be an energy produced, and this is known as heat energy. So as you can see, conduction takes place in solids. So in conduction, heat transfer takes place between two ends of the same solid or through two solid substances that are at different temperatures but in contact with one another. And thus, we can define conduction as the process of heat transfer in solids from the region of higher temperature to the region of lower temperature without the actual movement of atoms or molecules. We know that conduction always takes place in solids, right? So in solids, we have learned that the atoms are packed very closely. So these atoms does not move there and here. So what happens here is that the atoms vibrate in their own position. Because of the heat energy supplied at one end, the atoms at that end starts to vibrate, and this will be passed on to the other atoms, and thereby passing this heat energy from one end to the other. So you can now see some of the different examples you can see in your daily life with respect to conduction. The first one is if you are holding a metallic rod near the candle. So what will you feel? If you are holding a candle, no, if you are holding a rod on top of a burning candle, you will see that after some time you will be feeling a warmth in your hand because the rod has started to get heated up, right? So this happens because the atoms at the end, which is near the flame, will start to vibrate, and this is passed on to the rod, the atoms in the rod, which is near your hand. So here the heat energy passes from the end, which is near the flame, to your hand. Another example is if you are holding a piece of ice in your hand, what will you see? You will see that after some time the ice starts to melt, right? So this ice starts to melt because ice is at a lower temperature as compared to your hand. Your hand will be having a much more higher temperature, or your hand is warmer. And because of this, the temperature, which is higher temperature, is in your hand while ice is at a lower temperature. So the heat transfer takes place from your hand to the ice. Next example is if you have ever noticed, if you are keeping a spoon or a metallic rod, anything, into a glass of hot water, after some time you will see that this spoon or rod has also become hot because this is also due to the same process, which is conduction. And here are some more examples of the same. So igloo also, it is a hot inside while it is cold outside. You will be wondering why igloos are also helping in conduction, right? And you have always noticed that igloos are made of ice. So this is a small activity for you. Find out how igloo helps in keeping people warm inside, even though it is made of ice. So now we can see what are good conductors and bad conductors. Good conductors are those which allow heat to transfer very easily. So metals are very good conductors of heat. So now what are the non-conductors or bad conductors? Wood, paper, cork, feathers, and all such things. These comes under bad conductors. They are mostly insulators because they don't let heat to pass through them. So there are two types, which is first one is good conductors and the other one is bad conductors. Now let us see what is convection. Convection takes place in liquids or gases. When water in the vessel is heated, water molecules at the bottom receive heat energy and move upwards. Then the molecules comes down and get heated. This kind of heat transfer is known as convection. So as you can see, the molecules here is hot and these will go up, and when these rise up, the cold ones or the molecules which are having a lower temperature will come down, and they will also get the heat transferred from here, and again they will rise up and the cooler molecules will also move downwards. So this is how convection works. Now let us see what is convection's definition. The form of heat transfer which from places of higher temperature to places of lower temperature by the actual movement of molecules is called convection. In conduction, we have learned that there is no actual movement of atoms, while in convection, there is actual movement of molecules. And convection takes place in liquids and gases, while conduction takes place in solids. Convection in daily life. You have heard about land breeze and sea breeze, right? So during the daytime, the warm air, because of the sunlight, this sand or the land will be getting hot first. And this warm air will move towards the sea, and the cool breeze from the sea will come towards the land. So this is the same process which we have seen in the previous slide. So here the warm air from the land goes to the sea, while the cool air from the sea comes to the land. And at night, what happens? At night, the reverse happens. The land will be getting cold first, while the sea will be still warm. And the warm air from the sea will come to the land, while the cold air from the land will go to the sea. So this is again a convection which happens with gas. Another example for convection in daily life is convection currents in a hot air balloon. You have seen hot air balloons which fly up to the sky, right? So here also the same principle applies. Even in case of refrigerators, you all have refrigerators at home, right? So here also the process of convection takes place. So the cold air from the freezing unit will be going down. These go down while the warm air at the bottom will rise up to the freezing unit. So this also is a part of convection. Next, let us see what is radiation. Radiation is another form of heat transfer. So it is defined as the way of heat transfer from one place to another in the form of electromagnetic waves. We have seen that in solids, conduction takes place, while in liquids and gases, the convection takes place. But here in radiation, the heat transfer occurs in the form of electromagnetic waves. So the electromagnetic waves will be transferred from one place to another, and this causes a change in heat. As you can see, the sun provides us heat, and this is due to radiation. So radiation in daily life. We have heard that if we are wearing a white dress during a summertime, we feel less hot. While if we are wearing a black dress, we feel a lot of heat. So why does this happen? This happens because the black color absorbs more light, while the white color reflects light. So when the black color absorbs light, they absorb the heat energy also, and they transfer it to our body, and thereby making our temperature rise up, so we feel hot. While in case of the white color, it reflects the light and thereby reflecting the heat energy also, and then will be keeping us cool, or will be at a moderate temperature. And we have also seen how the sun radiates the heat energy to earth. Another example is on a cold winter day, we will be warming up ourselves by sitting near the fire, right? So this is also an example for the radiation in daily life. Thank you, students.